The draft has come and gone, and now that the smoke is cleared, we can look at the players that were added and not just go by how Mel Kiper ranks them. First of all, it's too early for grades, and it's not the players that the Steelers always draft that matters the most, it's the type of player they draft. My name is Rick Mooney. I'm from the Steel Studio Podcast. These are my Thursday thoughts. Subscribe, like, comment, and thank you. The Steelers had a great draft. Getting two franchise-type guys, Najee and Pat, in the same draft is a steal. They are both top-notch at their position and will set the tone for this offense like it hasn't been in years. Think about the two teams in the Super Bowl last year, for example. Both had tight ends that can block and catch. And now we will have that for the first time since Heath Miller. We will also have Ebron as well, and he can stretch the field. Two good tight ends. We should have an improved running game, and that could go a long way in improving the offense and the defense. Imagine a rested defense that can feast when they are in the game. Most of our close games last year were teams catching up at the end of the games due to defensive fatigue. That will be solved. Mr. Rooney had a mandate this year. He had had enough of the Steelers not playing Steeler football. He demanded that we get back to smashmouth football, back to Steeler football, and this draft reflects that. It's not the player that you draft, it's the type of player that you draft. Every year we hear how the Steelers got a B or a C and didn't draft this guy or that guy, or the guys that were the most highly ranked. In fact, PFF says we had the worst draft in the league this year. We fill holes with guys that fit into our system. They are the mold of a Steeler player. Mean, tough, physical, usually great character and team-first mentality. If you don't have that mentality, you won't last long in the black and gold. Let's look at some examples of former and current players that were ranked low in the draft or not at the top that were clearly Steelers and the best at their position. Rocky Bleier, Jack Lambert, Joey Porter, Levon Kirkland, Ike Taylor, Troy Polamalu, Mike Merriweather, Carnell Lake, Greg Lloyd, all guys that wouldn't have had the careers they had if they weren't Steelers. And most recently, TJ Watt, Juju, Chase, Claypool, and Dotson. All guys that weren't rated high going into the draft. In fact, Watt was ranked number 60 on the pre-draft board. Now he is up for Defensive Player of the Year every year. Claypool was projected 4th rounder, and most never expected Juju to get drafted so high. But the Steelers saw something. They saw how they would fit the scheme, and boy have they ever. Cam Hayward was another player that wasn't expected to be as great as he is, and he's amazing. So let's have faith in this year's class. I was pissed when they passed on Creed Humphrey, believe me, but they wanted Pat Freiermuth, and they knew he'd be gone in round 3. I also thought for sure they'd grab Quentin Miners in the 3rd round, but they wanted nothing to do with someone who didn't play last year. And he was also from a very small school. So they drafted Kendrick Green. This guy is a wrestler. This guy is a tough guy that loves to fight and won't back down from anyone. He's also very athletic for a center. He's nasty. Are we even going to question an organization that has drafted players like Mike Webster and Dermontti Dawson, both in the Hall of Fame, and Mike Pouncey soon to be in the Hall of Fame? We can't do that. We have to assume that they know what they're doing here. Then they went for a tackle from Texas A&M who's also very physical. The rest of the draft was good as well. Loudermilk and Johnson should both be future starters on this defense. Let's watch and see. Both fit the mold of what Steeler players are. Then we got a steal in the 6th round with Roche, Quentin Roche. I believe he will fit right in and be a number 3 edge, something we were lacking. And he will even push for starting reps. The stability of this organization that we've been preaching about all offseason will pay off again. But some of these guys will be making plays and dominating. Teams will wonder, the league will wonder how in the hell they do it again. It's what we do. Because we have the best scouting department in the league. Long tenured scouts. Some are even former players, like Mark Bruner, for example. The Steelers don't follow what PFF says or the analytics department at IBM says. They want football players, tough football players. They draft good players every year, and we teach them how to be great players. We don't participate much in free agency, and this is usually why we lose some of these great players, because you can't retain them all. Then we reload again and again. It's what we do. And this is why the Steelers have the best record of any team in the past 50 years. Sure, they will miss on some guys now and then. You can never foresee injuries such as the one to Ryan Shazier. But never doubt, and overall, they have been one of the best at plugging in new guys that fit the mold and succeed. And when guys leave the team, they usually aren't as good as they were in Pittsburgh. It's the scheme. I feel like this year they not only drafted players that fit that scheme, but they also drafted players that will take us back to Steelers football. All 6 Super Bowl championships had a running back that was drafted in the first round. Coincidence? I don't think so. It used to be when you played the Steelers, win or lose, you knew you had just played the Steelers because you got your ass beat. We're going to get back to that. We're going to get back to Steeler football. Enough of this wimpy crap. It's time to play football. They will be in the running and probably get number 7 in the next year or two and shock the league again. Follow us on YouTube, Spotify, and please subscribe. And Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast. And go Steelers. Remember, it's not the player that you draft in Pittsburgh, it's the type of player. Steeler football, baby.